Welcome to the Taste China Learn English.
Thank you. It's great to be here for this.
Yeah. So I want you to imagine a soup. A soup that is so fragrant and so incredibly delicious that a strictly vegetarian monk would physically jump over a temple wall just to steal a taste of it?
That's quite an image. A jumping monk.
Right, it really is. And today we are opening up a fascinating stack of sources to look into stories just like that. We have culinary history articles, regional menus, and some really detailed food science research.
And we are using all of this information to do a deep dive into the southeast coast of China,
Exactly. Specifically, we are exploring Fujian province. We really want to understand the secrets of Fujian cuisine.
which is also known as Minkai in Chinese.
Yes, Minkai. And along the way, since our mission here is to help you out, we are going to learn some very helpful English descriptive words.
We will take things nice and slow too, just so you can easily understand the conversation and really grasp these new concepts.
Perfect. So, looking at the source material, Fujian province has a very unique geography, right?
It really does. It is bordered by these lush green mountains on one side and then the vast ocean on the other side.
Wow, so you get the best of both worlds.
Exactly. Because of this, their food relies on a beautiful mixture of like forest ingredients and fresh seafood. But no matter what ingredients they use, our research shows there is one overarching theme to almost all Fujian food.
And what is that theme?
The central concept is a word called umami.
Umami. Okay, let's focus on that word for a moment. For a beginner learning English, umami can be a really tricky concept to understand.
It is tricky because, it is not sweet, it's not sour, salty, or bitter.
Right, it's that mysterious fifth taste.
Exactly. Umami is a savory flavor. You can think of it as a deep, rich, almost meaty taste.
Yeah, even if there's no actual meat in it, right?
Right. Scientifically, this flavor comes from compounds called glutamates, and these compounds naturally happen in many common foods.
Like what kind of foods?
Things like tomatoes,
Yeah.
mushrooms, aged cheeses, and of course, certain meats.
I find it really helpful to think about umami like a piece of music.
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, think about a popular song on the radio. A song has different parts. You have the singer singing the melody.
Right, the main jungle part.
Exactly. The melody is high and clear and you hear it immediately. In food, the melody is like salt or sugar. It hits your tongue and you instantly know it is there.
But underneath that bright melody, there is the bass line,
Yes, the bass line.
the deep, heavy rhythm from the bass guitar or the drums. Boom, boom, boom.
Exactly. You might not always know how to describe the bass line of a song. If you are not paying close attention, you might not even consciously notice it is playing.
But it gives the whole song a deep, satisfying foundation.
Right. Because if you remove the bass line, the music suddenly feels, I don't know, empty and thin.
It lacks power.
Exactly. So, umami is the baseline of food. It provides a heavy, warm foundation for all the other flavors to build upon.
So, to you listening right now, take a moment to think about your absolute favorite savory meal.
Oh, that's a good exercise.
Yeah. Maybe it is a slow cooked beef stew that your family makes on a cold winter day.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is a rich mushroom sauce poured over fresh noodles.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
That deep, comforting taste that makes you sigh, relax your shoulders, and just feel completely satisfied.
Yeah.
That is the feeling of umami. You're probably already a huge fan of this flavor without even realizing the scientific name for it.
That makes so much sense. Now, if Fujian cuisine is famous for having this incredible umami baseline, we need to understand how they actually build it.
We do. And looking through the culinary history articles in our sources, there is a distinct cooking method that defines this entire region.
To understand their method, I think we should look at a famous Fujian saying that appeared repeatedly in our research.
Oh, I know the one you mean.
Yeah. The saying is, a meal without soup is not a meal.
That is the very strong statement. A meal without soup is not a meal.
It is. The people of Fujian believe that liquid is essential to a proper dining experience. And because of this belief, Fujian chefs are absolute masters of creating broth.
Broth. That is a great English word for us to highlight.
Let's clearly define that vocabulary word for our listeners. Broth is a savory liquid. You make it by simmering bones, meat, or vegetables in water for a period of time.
And we should probably explain what simmering means, too.
Good idea. Simmering means cooking the water over a gentle heat. The water is hot, and you might see a few small bubbles rising to the top.
Right, but it is not boiling rapidly or violently.
Exactly. Simmering is a slow, quiet process.
And this is where the real science of Fujian cooking begins.
Because I am looking at some of these recipes from the sources, and they call for simmering bones in water for 4, 6, or sometimes even 8 hours.
It's a huge time commitment.
It really is. And I have to wonder why this is considered such a high art form.
What do you mean?
Well, if broth is essentially just putting water and ingredients into a pot and leaving it on the stove, why does it require so much respect? I mean, it seems like anyone could just boil water.
But boiling water is easy. Making a master broth is an exercise in extreme patience and chemical transformation.
Chemical transformation. Okay, now you have my attention.
Yeah. When you simmer animal bones slowly over many hours, you are doing much more than just warming up water. Bones contain a connective tissue called collagen.
Okay, collagen.
When you apply slow, gentle heat, that collagen breaks down and melts. It turns into a rich, smooth substance called gelatin.
Oh, I see. So the liquid is physically changing. It is not just water with meat flavor added to it.
Exactly. The water transforms, the gelatin mixes with the liquid, giving it a heavier weight. You are extracting the very essence of the animal and suspending it in the liquid.
Wow. So it requires a lot of skill to get that right.
It does. If the heat is too high, the fat clouds the water and the flavor becomes messy.
And if the heat is too low?
If it's too low, the collagen never melts. A master chef knows exactly how to control the fire to pull the soul out of the ingredients, creating a flawless umami baseline.
This slow, careful extraction really explains why soup holds such a place of honor at the Fujian dinner table.
It is treated with so much respect.
And that brings us to the ultimate example of this technique. The culinary articles in our sources highlight one specific dish as the most legendary broth in the entire region.
Ah, yes. The Chinese name is Fo Tiao King.
And translated into English, the name means Buddha jumps over the wall.
It is such a vivid name. I love it.
The history behind this dish involves a really funny legend.
Oh, this is the story about the monk.
Yes. According to the stories, a group of traveling scholars were cooking dinner outside in a large clay jar. They were simmering this incredible broth.
Slowly extracting all that umami.
Exactly. And next door to their camp, there was a temple. A Buddhist monk was meditating inside.
Now we should mention, monks live very simple lives, and they are strictly vegetarian.
Right. They never eat meat.
But the smell escaping from the scholar's clay jar was irresistible.
Irresistible. That is our next English vocabulary word.
Let's explain that one.
If something is irresistible, it is too tempting to ignore.
Too tempting to ignore.
Right. It is so attractive or powerful that you just cannot fight against it.
So the monk smelled the rich, meaty broth, and the aroma was so irresistible that he forgot his vegetarian vows.
He jumped right over the temple wall just to ask for a taste.
It is a memorable story that perfectly captures how powerful an umami aroma can be.
It really is. But looking at the regional menus from our sources, we can see exactly what goes into an irresistible soup like this.
And it is not just simple chicken and pork.
No, not at all. The chefs use extremely high-end, premium ingredients, and they are heavily focused on the ocean.
The menus list things like abalone, which is a rare, very expensive type of sea snail.
Right, and they use sea cucumber, which is a marine animal found on the ocean floor.
They also use dried scallops and quail eggs.
In traditional Chinese food culture, these specific ingredients are highly prized because they are considered nutritious.
Nutritious. That's a great word for our listeners.
Let's define the word nutritious. Food that is nutritious contains substances that your body needs to grow, heal, and stay healthy.
Right. Nutritious food is full of good energy, vitamins, and minerals.
The people of Fujian believe these sea ingredients provide deep nourishment for the body.
But beyond being nutritious, ingredients like sea cucumber and abalone serve a very specific culinary purpose here.
What do you mean? Don't they just taste like fish?
Actually, no. They are naturally quite mild in flavor on their own. However, they are like sponges.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. As they simmer in the pot for hours, they absorb the rich flavors of the pork bones and the chicken meat around them.
And because of the melted collagen we talked about earlier, the texture of the Buddha jumps over the wall soup is remarkable.
It really is. It does not feel like drinking a glass of water.
No. The English words we use to describe this texture are thick and rich.
It's thick and rich.
When you lift your spoon, the liquid actually clings to it. It leaves a sticky, satisfying feeling on your lips after you take a sip.
It is the absolute peak of the umami experience.
It sounds incredible, but I do want to bring up a practical point here.
Okay, what's that?
Well, for an everyday person cooking at home, ingredients like sea cucumber and abalone are very intimidating.
That's very true.
Most people cannot find a sea cucumber at their local grocery store, and even if they could, it is incredibly expensive.
It's definitely a luxury item.
Right. So my question is the magic of this legendary soup solely dependent on these rare luxury ingredients?
You would think the secret lies completely in the expensive seafood, but the truth actually hides in the technique.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the rare ingredients certainly add unique textures and a specific oceanic flavor. But the true foundation, the actual magic, is the patient simmering.
The extraction of the umami.
Exactly. The technique of controlling the fire and turning solid proteins into a thick, rich, nutritious liquid is the real star.
So you don't necessarily need the fancy ingredients.
No. A home cook could use simple, affordable ingredients like a whole chicken and some common mushrooms.
And if they apply the same slow, patient simmering technique?
They will still create a beautiful, irresistible broth.
Well, that is very encouraging. It shows that the philosophy is much more important than the price tag of the ingredients.
It really is. So let's imagine you are sitting at a formal banquet in Fujian.
Okay, imagining it.
You have just finished a bowl of this thick, rich, heavy soup. Your mouth is completely coated in that deep umami flavor.
Sounds amazing.
It is. But when you eat a lot of heavy, rich food, your palate gets tired.
You mean your sense of taste?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your tongue physically needs a break. You cannot just keep eating heavy dishes one after another.
Right, your mouth feels exhausted. It gets boring.
Precisely. To wake the tongue back up, you need a bright contrast.
You need something sharp to cut through the heavy umami baseline.
Yes. And this culinary reality introduces us to a classic dish from Fuzhou, which is the capital city of Fujian province.
The dish is called lychee pork, or in Chinese, li ru.
Now, when someone hears the name lychee pork, they naturally assume they're going to eat a dish made of pork meat cooked together with sweet lychee fruit.
Which sounds pretty good. For our listeners, the lychee is a popular tropical fruit. It has a rough red skin and sweet white flesh inside.
But the sources reveal a wonderful surprise about this recipe.
And I love this fact. Traditional lychee pork usually contains absolutely no lychee fruit at all.
0 lychees in the dish.
It is entirely a visual trick. I like to think of it as food playing dress up, or like food cosplay.
Food cosplay. That's a funny way to describe it. But it's accurate. The chefs use a highly skilled knife technique to make the meat mimic the fruit.
How do they do that?
They take small pieces of pork and score them.
Scoring. That means cutting shallow lines into the surface of the meat, right? Without cutting all the way through.
Exactly. They cut a tight cross-hatch pattern into the pork.
And when the chef drops those scored pieces of pork into hot cooking oil, the meat reacts to the heat.
It curls up.
Right. It curls up into a tight, round ball, and because of the cuts on the surface, the outside of the meatball becomes bumpy.
It looks exactly like the rough skin of a round lychee fruit.
It is a brilliant way to make the food look playful and elegant at the same time.
But the visual trick is only half the experience here. We need to explore the specific flavor and texture words that make this dish the perfect contrast to heavy soup.
Let's do it.
Because it is fried in hot oil, the outside of the pork becomes crunchy.
Crunchy. Let's explain the word crunchy for you listening.
Good idea.
When food is crunchy, it makes a loud, satisfying noise when you bite into it. Think about biting into a fresh potato chip or a hard green apple.
You can almost hear that sharp sound in your head.
Yes. The lychee pork is crunchy on the outside, but the inside remains soft and tender.
Then the chef coats the crunchy pork balls in a bright red sauce.
And this sauce is what we describe as tangy.
Tangy is a fantastic descriptive word.
It is. Tangy describes a sharp, bold taste. It is a pleasantly sour flavor that is usually balanced by a little bit of sweetness.
To really understand tangy, imagine drinking a glass of cold lemonade.
Oh, that's a great example.
The sugar makes it sweet, but the lemon juice makes your mouth pucker just a little bit.
That sharp, bright, waking up feeling on your tongue is tanginess.
In this dish, the tangy sauce is usually made from a mixture of sugar, vinegar, and sometimes tomatoes.
That sharp acidity acts like a palate cleanser. It slices right through the heavy, meaty flavors you ate earlier in the meal, making your mouth feel fresh again.
The combination of the hot, crunchy meat and the bright, tangy sauce makes the entire dish incredibly appetizing.
Appetizing. Let's define appetizing.
If a food is appetizing, its smell, appearance, or description makes you feel hungry.
So when you see a plate of glossy red lychee pork and you smell the warm vinegar, your mouth immediately starts to water.
It stimulates your appetite.
Now, high-end soups and beautifully carved pork dishes are perfect examples of formal dining in Fujian.
But a culture's food is not just about what people eat at expensive banquets.
Definitely not. We need to step out of the restaurants and walk down to the street to see what regular people eat on a daily basis.
And this brings us to a massive cultural phenomenon mentioned in our culinary sources. It is a category of street food known as Shaxian delicacies.
Oh, Shaxian jiaoqi.
Right. These are small, affordable, deeply comforting dishes that originated in Sha County, Fujian.
Today, you can actually find small restaurants selling these snacks in almost every city across China.
They're the ultimate everyday comfort foods.
One of the most famous Shaxian snacks is a simple dish called peanut sauce noodles, or ban mian.
Just hearing the name makes me hungry.
Me too! Fresh, hot noodles are tossed in a thick, rich peanut paste. The best words to describe the sauce are nutty and creamy.
Nutty simply means the food carries the deep roasted flavor of nuts.
And creamy refers to the texture. A creamy food is incredibly smooth, thick, and soft.
It coats the inside of your mouth gently.
Mm.
It's similar to the feeling of eating rich butter or drinking whole milk.
A bowl of warm, nutty, creamy noodles is a perfect, inexpensive meal.
It really is. But there is another very famous Shaxian street food that requires a shocking amount of physical labor to prepare.
What dish is that?
It's a small meat dumpling called a wonton, or bianru in the local dialect.
Wontons are very common, but the Fujian preparation method is completely unique.
Very unique. Typically, when a chef wants to make a meat filling for a dumpling, they place a piece of pork on a cutting board.
Right. They take a sharp metal knife and chop the meat quickly until it is reduced to tiny, minced pieces.
It is a fast and efficient process.
But our sources detail a totally different approach for these specific Shaxian wontons. The chefs do not use a knife at all.
Instead of chopping the meat, they pound it.
They pound it. The chef takes a heavy wooden mallet, which looks like a large wooden hammer.
They place a solid block of pork on a strong table and hit it. Smash.
Smash. They strike the meat rhythmically with the heavy hammer over and over again, sometimes for hours.
Until the solid block of muscle is beaten into a smooth pink paste.
Just reading about this process makes my arms feel tired.
Can you imagine standing there for 2 hours swinging a hammer?
No. Why would someone choose to go through the exhausting physical effort of swinging a heavy wooden hammer for hours? I mean, chopping the meat with a sharp knife takes only a few minutes.
The immense physical labor is necessary because a hammer creates a completely different chemical and structural result than a knife.
How so?
When you chop meat with a knife, the sharp blade physically slices through the muscle fibers. It cuts them into millions of short, disconnected pieces.
Right. A knife destroys the structure by severing the connections.
Exactly. But a blunt wooden hammer does not cut anything.
Ah, I see.
When the heavy hammer strikes the meat, the sheer force of the impact stretches the long muscle fibers.
It stretches them instead of cutting them.
Yes, and as the pounding continues, those stretched fibers become tangled up in each other. They weave together like a tight net.
And this structural change entirely alters how the cooked meat feels when you chew it.
It does. And this scientific transformation leads to our final and perhaps most interesting vocabulary word of the deep dive.
The hammering process gives the meat a texture that we call bouncy.
Bouncy. Let's explain bouncy.
Bouncy means something springs back into its original shape after being pressed or squeezed.
Imagine holding a small, soft rubber ball.
Okay, I've got it.
If you press your thumb hard into the ball, it creates a dent. But the second you take your thumb away, the rubber pushes back out.
The ball returns to being perfectly round, it springs back.
Exactly. Because the muscle fibers in the wonton meat have been stretched and tangled by the hammer, the meat behaves just like that rubber ball.
That is fascinating. So when you bite into the small dumpling, your teeth press into the meat filling, and the filling gently pushes back against your teeth.
It is a lively, springy sensation.
This bouncy feeling is a highly prized characteristic in Chinese cuisine. Food critics and locals frequently refer to this specific mouthfeel as a Q texture.
Q texture. When a food is described as having a Q texture, it means it is delightfully chewy and bouncy.
Slightly similar to a savory gummy candy.
And you simply cannot achieve a bouncy Q texture by chopping meat with a knife. The cut fibers will just fall apart in your mouth.
So the magic of the wonton relies entirely on the exhausting physical work of the wooden hammer.
It is a perfect example of how much effort and care goes into even the most common street foods in Fujian.
We have covered incredible ground today. We traveled from the Green Mountains to the coast of Fujian province.
We looked at high-end, slow-cooked soups, clever visual tricks with pork, and the scientific secrets of everyday street food noodles and wontons.
Before we finish our journey, let's do a slow, clear recap of the 5 major English vocabulary words we learned.
This will really help reinforce the definitions in your mind.
Okay.
Let's review the vocabulary.
Word number 1 was umami.
Umami is the deep, savory soul of a dish. It is the heavy foundation, the musical baseline of flavor that comes from slowly cooking ingredients like meat and mushrooms.
Word number 2 was irresistible.
Irresistible describes something that is too tempting to ignore. It is a smell or a sight so powerful that you cannot fight your desire for it, just like the monk smelling the soup over the wall.
Word number 3 was tangy.
Tangy refers to a sharp, bright, pleasantly sour taste. It wakes up your mouth and provides a perfect acidic contrast to heavy foods, much like the red sauce coating the Liji pork.
Word number 4 was nutritious.
Nutritious describes food that is packed with healthy elements. Nutritious ingredients provide the energy, vitamins, and minerals your body needs to thrive.
And our final word, word number 5, was bouncy.
Bouncy describes the unique, springy texture of the hammered meat. It is the feeling of food pushing back against your teeth, known locally as a Q texture.
Umami, irresistible, tangy, nutritious, and bouncy.
These are 5 incredibly useful words to use the next time you are describing a memorable meal in English.
Looking at all the sources we discussed today, a larger picture really emerges.
It does. The culinary traditions of Fujian province represent a deep respect for the natural world.
Whether a chef is slowly melting the collagen from a bone over an 8-hour fire.
Or spending an afternoon swinging a heavy wooden mallet to stretch muscle fibers.
They are trying to bring out the absolute best version of an ingredient. They don't want to hide the ingredient, they want to elevate it.
Precisely. And this philosophy raises a very interesting thought for you, our listener, to ponder after this deep dive is over.
What's that?
Well, we have spent this time talking about these specific seafood and mountain ingredients found in the Fujian region of China. But, cooking techniques can travel anywhere.
Oh, that's true. Think about the grocery stores or the outdoor markets in your own hometown.
Right. Think about the local vegetables, meats, or herbs that you grew up eating every single week.
If you took those familiar everyday ingredients from your own hometown, but you applied the patient Fujian philosophy to them,
If you spent 8 hours extracting a pure umami broth from your local vegetables,
or if you used a mallet to pound your local proteins until they became bouncy,
what completely new, unimaginable dish would you invent?
cooking truly is a universal language, and these techniques can unlock entirely new flavors right in your own kitchen.
It's all about looking at your food in a new way.
Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating culinary world with us. We hope you discovered something delicious. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.